I got to first ask you about the name of the company.
Yeah.
Why is it called CNS Response?
Central nervous system. You have two organs in your brain that are electrochemical central nervous system organs, your brain and your heart. And the drugs that were developed for those organs are some of the most widely used drugs we have. You know, heart medicine like statins, brain medicine like antidepressants. That's a $35 billion category. And there was an extraordinary announcement 2 weeks ago by the National Institutes of Health that they will no longer fund research using the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, the DSM-5, which the APA is announcing this week. So it's a really interesting area with a lot of change.
Now, I want to make clear that your company doesn't make any of the pharmaceutical drugs.
Not at all.
It doesn't make equipment itself. You're a data miner. What does that mean when it comes to the central nervous system?
We're a data company. We do predictive analytics. And the genius of the doctors who founded the company, one is now the chief lab officer at Quest. So he was a pathologist, got together with a bunch of psychiatrists and said, we don't seem to measure anything here. There's no direct measurement of the brain. When you go to a psychiatrist, you're going to get questions. If you went to an oncologist, you would get bone scans, biopsies, blood tests. So psychiatry is the only area that's never had a test. And so this pathologist, Steve Suffin, said, let's start measuring things. So he did EEGs because it was cheap. Electroencephalography is the little squiggly lines. That's been around since 1929. It's FDA approved. And they began to do a brain function test with EEG on every patient and correlate that with the meds they gave and the outcomes. They did this for about 25 years. It's now the largest brain database of its kind, and it predicts 2 to 3 times better the medications that your brain will respond to versus the ones that my brain would respond to.
Now, how did you accumulate all this data, and how do you parse it in a way that can be relevant for a patient?
Well, the nice thing is the internet has made that possible. Like, Amazon said every time somebody buys a computer, you're building our store. The internet and the cloud have made us able to crowdsource this information. So now if you're a doctor in our network, the doctors at Walter Reed or the doctors in Boston or New York or LA, every time you see a patient, that data is going to go from your iPad up to the cloud, and we're going to be able to use that because we have machine learning algorithms that actually make the database more predictive and better for you.
Now, you've used this for some military patients. Explain what happened.
We just started. This is the 3rd largest trial in psychiatry at Walter Reed in Fort Belvoir. We just opened the 2nd site at Fort Belvoir last week. And this is pretty exciting because we're going to have about 2,000 soldiers that will go through getting this test. And if it does the same that it's done in all of the other studies of its kind, we expect to make a big difference to PTSD and depression in the military.